Have you ever been to a place where something just doesn't feel quite right? Maybe it's the harsh, bright lights that seem too sterile, or the endless, repetitive hallways that make you feel trapped like you're in a maze. These places, known as liminal spaces, are all around us, hiding in plain sight. They're the eerie school corridors late at night, the vacant hotel lobbies, and the empty office buildings on weekends. But there's one liminal space that has captured the imagination of many and taken the internet by storm, called the backrooms. Imagine stepping out of reality and into an endless labyrinth of yellow-tinted hallways, stained carpets, and the faint hum of fluorescent lights. The backrooms are a bizarre, unsettling place where every corner turned feels like it leads deeper into the unknown. In this video, we'll dive into the concept of liminal spaces and explore the mystery of the backrooms. We'll cover why these places evoke such strong sense of unease and fascination, and what they reveal about our perception of reality. Welcome to the world of liminal spaces, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the familiar turns into the uncanny. The eerie allure of the backrooms began with a simple post on 4chan. It all started when a user asked people to share photos of unsettling places. Among the responses, one post stood out. The user shared 2 pictures of yellow corridors bathed in harsh, fluorescent light, accompanied by a chilling backstory. They described the backrooms as a place you could no-clip into, a term from video gaming meaning to pass through solid objects and walls. According to the lore, once you find yourself in the backrooms, you are trapped in an endless maze from which there is no escape. This post quickly went viral, capturing the imagination of internet users around the world. The concept of the backrooms spread like wildfire, spawning a massive online following. But the impact of the backrooms didn't stay confined to the internet. It inspired various forms of media, from the multi-million-dollar TV show Severance to massively popular multiplayer games like Escape the Backrooms. The lore of the backrooms expanded exponentially, with a dedicated wiki page now boasting thousands of entries filled with endless stories and mysteries. Interestingly, the original pictures that sparked the phenomenon were discovered last March. They were taken in 2003 when a newly built hobbyist RC car club opened and posted the images on their website. These seemingly mundane photos of empty, yellow-lit rooms would go on to become the foundation of one of the internet's most captivating and unsettling myths. To dive deeper into the concept of liminal spaces and understand why they evoke such feelings of unease, I implore you to look at these sources after the video. The first is a research paper titled "Structural Deviations Drive an Uncanny Valley Feeling of Physical Places," found on ResearchGate. This study is particularly interesting because it tries to pinpoint which aspects of liminal spaces contribute to the unsettling uncanny valley effect, giving a scientific view on why these environments make us feel so uneasy. The second source is an article by Shannon Leigh McDonald. It is called "Liminal Spaces and the Uncanny Environment." It is available on our blog. The article does an excellent job of painting a vivid picture of what a liminal space is. Accompanied by images, it helps you truly grasp the kinds of feelings that these spaces evoke. To better understand what makes a space liminal, let's look at some examples and go over the key rules that define these eerie environments. Number 1. Transitional nature. Liminal spaces are often found in places of transition, like hallways, staircases, or waiting rooms where you're between 2 more defined areas. Number 2. Anemoia. Nostalgia for a time or place one has never known. These spaces evoke a sense of familiarity but feel off, creating a sense of unease as if something is not quite right. Number 3. Absence of people. Liminal spaces are typically empty, amplifying the feeling of isolation and discomfort. Number 4. Ambiguous purpose. The function of these spaces is often unclear, adding to the disorientation and mystery. Number 5. Repetition and symmetry. Repeated architectural features and symmetry can make these spaces feel endless and disorienting. Number 6. Intense lighting. Harsh, bright lighting is common, contributing to the sterile and unsettling atmosphere. Number 7. Sparse furnishing. Minimal furnishings emphasize the emptiness and starkness of the space. Number 8. Neutral colors. Muted neutral colors are used to strip the space of warmth and make it feel more impersonal. Number 9. Almost no signs of wear and neglect. These spaces are usually well maintained, with little to no signs of wear, adding to the uncanny feeling because they seem too perfect. Let's look at some scenarios where we compare a normal environment with its liminal space counterpart. We'll start with an office corridor. In our first image, we see a typical office hallway. The lighting is warm, there are various painting on the walls, each door has a sign indicating its purpose, and we even see a bit of sunlight streaming through the drapes at the end of the hall. Now let's switch to the liminal space version of this office corridor. The difference is immediately noticeable. The warm, natural lighting is gone, replaced by harsh fluorescent overhead lights. The walls are bare, painted in dull gray tones. The corridor appears endless, creating a sense of entrapment and unease. The same logic applies to other types of hallways, like a hotel corridor. In our first image, we see a normal hotel with warm, inviting lighting. The walls are decorated with artwork and patterns that break up the repetition. And there is a window at the end of the hallway, letting in natural light. Now when we switch to the liminal space version of this hotel corridor, once again the differences are striking. The warm, inviting lighting is replaced by harsh, monotone fluorescent lights. The decorated walls are now bleak and neutral, stripped of any artwork or patterns. Instead of a window at the end, there is a blank wall, intensifying the feeling of entrapment and isolation. These contrasts highlight how small changes can transform a familiar, welcoming space into something eerie and unsettling. By removing elements that provide comfort and familiarity and replacing them with sterile, repetitive, and ambiguous features, we create environments that evoke a deep sense of unease. This transformation is at the core of what makes liminal spaces so psychologically impactful. Now let me show you how open spaces that aren't corridors or hallways can also become liminal spaces, by using a real-life example, Sears malls. In our first picture, we see a Sears clothing store, filled with clothing racks that break up any repetition. There are lots of vibrant colors from the clothes, and even though there are no people in the picture, we can still imagine the store to be a bustling place of commerce. But there's one simple change we can make to this environment to turn it into a liminal space. Remove everything and leave it bare. Now we are left with an uninviting, empty space. The walls are pale and neutral, the lighting turns harsh, and while we normally expect a lot of activity, it is suddenly left empty, giving a strong sense of unease. This transformation highlights what defines a liminal space. By stripping away the elements that provide comfort and familiarity and leaving behind a stark, empty shell, we create an environment that feels unsettling and off-putting. This contrast between expectation and reality is what makes liminal spaces so profoundly eerie. Let me show you how to create a liminal space from scratch using a scene that I designed. I started by looking for a space with a transitional nature. In my case, I focused on Japanese underground subway stations, specifically the hallways connecting the subway platforms. These underground hallways naturally fit many of the rules of liminal spaces, such as their transitional nature, harsh lighting, neutral colors, their sparse furnishings, and many minimal signs of wear and neglect. I then went on to start creating basic assets for my environment based on reference images. These assets are the following: ceiling and lighting tiles, emergency signs, roof decoration like smoke alarms and vents, floor and wall textures, and finally, staircase tiles. While putting the environment together, I paid close attention to the rules of liminal space. I believe the end product, though small, effectively evokes the unsettling emotions of these spaces. Paths that end in nothingness, and others that stretch endlessly. Staircases leading into oblivion, the never-ending hum of fluorescent lights. So much repetition that it feels like an illusion. And of course, there's nobody around.